संकावपयन्ति सर्वं यतो प्रजानाति स हेतुः. When the Four Noble Truths have become manifest to the one of pure life, meditating ardently, then all his doubts vanish, since he comprehends how each factor arising has a cause. Yada bhave patu bhavantu dhamma atapi jayata brahmanasya atasya kam. When the Four Noble Truths become manifest to the one of pure life, meditating ardently, then all his doubts vanish, since he has experienced the destruction of the conditions of the arising. Yada bhave patu bhavantu dhamma atapino jayatu brahmanasya vidupayam tittati marasenam Suryo Vabhasya Mantalikam. When the Four Noble Truths become manifest to the one of pure life, meditating ardently, routing the army of Mara does he stand like the sun when lighting up the sky.
नॉइज ज़्यादा मैं सही फैन कर रहा हूँ वो कर इधर वाला जो है हमारी तरफ वाला है इसको
हाँ इसको
लेफ्ट करता
सुता है तो उसको पूजा कर सकते हैं.
Is it better now? Sudhakar, Deepak?
ये इसी को सुन ले रहे हैं.
So background noise कह रहे हैं
तो उसके बाद तो
So Rajendra is saying yes, it's better.
इसी को प्रमोट हो गए. इसको बंद कर दो इसी को.
So इसी को बंद कर देते हैं आप. तो पानी ठीक है.
उनका तेज करना पड़ेगा
इसका भी नॉइज नहीं आना चाहिए. ऐसे करना
इसी का
ऐसे करना.
अब
पंखा भी चला लो उसका इसी का ज़्यादा नॉइस था. So today we will be studying the 14th Sutta of the Atthakavagga Sutta Nipata, Tuvatakka Sutta. It's again the sutta spoken on the same occasion which Buddha had created to answer the queries of the Devas, and with similar results as happened there, a huge number of them becoming enlightened. So the key issue here is being how a bhikkhu attains peace, bliss, and what he should do to attain it and what he should avoid. So I put the questions in the red and the answers in the black. So the question he asks is, Tuchchamitam adicca bandhu Vivekam santi padancha mahesi Katham disva nibbati bhikkhu Anupadiyanu lokasmitincha. Tuchchamitam adicca bandhu. So adicca means sun. So they are supposed to be from that clan of the sun. So he says, ask the kinsmen of the sun, the great Rishi, about seclusion and the state of peace. Having seen what is bhikkhu calmed, not grasping at anything in the world. This is the question asked. And there are the answers in sequence.
मूलम पापंच संखाय मंता अस्मीति सबम परुंधे या काची तन्हा अजत्थम तासं विनाया सदा सतो सिक्खे.
Good. So this word papanch sankhe we've discussed many times. Papanch is prapanch, delusion which is created due to mind proliferation. So moolam papanch sankhe. So the root is that. So this is Latin. Manta asmiti sabam purandu. Purandu means stop it, keep it in check. So let him completely cut off the root obstacle, the delusion. Yakin kachi tanha majjata. Whatever is within him, this tanha, let him eradicate the thought. Manta asmiti, that I am. That let him eradicate that thought, that feeling, that thought which keeps on coming. Tasma vinaya sada sato siddhi. So sada sato is being mindful all the time. He trains himself to let go of all the cravings that arise in him. So this is the first response.
किंचित धम्मो अभिजन्य अच्युतम अथवा परिता प्रतीन धामम उद्वेद नहीं सा निवृत्ति सतम
Yam kinchit dhammam, whatever dhammas are there, avijanya, which have been learnt, ajjattam inwardly, athavapi bahiddam, or outwardly. So let him learn every dhamma inwardly or outwardly, which means within himself and also looking outside. Natena thamam kubbeta, and not make it take pride, become proud of it. Thamam is this kind of power or pride in that. Nahi sa nibbuti satam yukta. Because if he becomes proud, then the wise people say that that is not the state of calm. It will not give you calm if you become proud. So even if after understanding Dhamma inwardly and outwardly you become proud, then the state of peace will not be there.
Seyo na tena manya nichayo athavapi sariko utto aneka rupehi natu manam vikapayam tithi.
And again, something which we have read in this sutta a number of times. Seyo na tena manya. Let him not manya mane. Neko shreya na mane. Let him not think himself to be better. Nichayo, inferior. Athavapi sariko, or of the same kind. So let him not therefore think himself to be better than others, low or equal to others. Because there is no other, there is no I. Putto aneka rupehi, having come in contact with various things, natu manam vikappayam titthe. Let him not use the to embellish his self, coming into contact with various things and try to raise his sense of superiority. Ajjattam eva upsamme na anyato bhikkhu santi me seya. Ajjattam upasantasya natti atta uto niratta. Ajjattam is within. Ajjattam upasamme. Upasamme shantvayata. So let a bhikkhu look for peace within. Na anyato, not outside. Bhikkhu santi me seya. Because he should not seek the peace outside of himself. Ajjattam upasantasya, for one who is internally quiet, natti atta, there is no self. Kuto niratta, not self to be found. It's free from that delusion of self or not self.
मज्जे यथा समुद्रस्सा उमीनो जायति तिथो होति एवं तिथो अनेजस्सा उसतम भिक्खु का ना करेया कुंची।
मध्य बीच में यथा जैसे समुद्र से, जस्ट एज इन द मिडल ऑफ दिस सी, इन द डेप्थ ऑफ द सी, उमी नो जायति, देयर इज नो वेव, थितो होती, इट्स ऑलवेज स्टिल. So just as in the depth of the sea, no wave is there, but it remains still. Evam thito anejasya. Let the bhikkhu also be still like that. Usadam bhikkhu na kare kyunchin. And then again, the caution is given, let him not become proud of that. So of anything whatsoever, even of becoming calm, let him not be proud of that. That will disturb it. And this is the question in red.
Akitayi vivadachakku sankhidhammam parisayodayam patipadam vadi vadante adimokham atvapi samadhi.
Apittaye vivarta chakku. So you explained to us and opened our eyes. Vivarta chakku. Sakyam dhammam parisaya vinayam. Then it opened our eyes to the Dhamma that removes all the dangers. Parisayam risks, all the risks it removes. Patipadam vadehi bhadante. No, sir, please tell us about the path. What is the path? Patimokham athavapi samadhi. And the method and the precepts. Patimokham, the rules and regulations. Athavapi samadhi, right? For the development of concentration. How do you develop that?
Chakkuhi nivarolasa kama kathaya avare sotam rase cha nanuji chiyam nacha mamayaitha kinchi lokasamam.
It's interesting to see that the path he is telling them is suited to them. He's not telling them the standard routine answer. Chakku hi neva lolas. Chakku, आँखों की तरफ उसका greed no. Let him not be greedy with the eyes. Because in Devlok there are so many pleasant things to see. So it is, then Gama Kathaya Avare Sotam. Gama Katha, Gama means village. No? Gama Kathaya means the talk of the village folk. ऐसे gossip करते रहते हैं. Avare Sotam. Let him keep his ears away from the gossips. Rasena Nanu Gijjeya. Let him not be given to the rasa, the tastes. Let him not be greedy about the taste. Nache mamayet kinchi lokasme. Mamayet apna kuch na mane. Let him not possess anything in the world as his own. These are his advice about the path. Asena yada puttasya paridevam bhikkhu na kareya kuhinchi bhavancha navipajjeya bhairave suchana sampavedhe. Person, whenever touched yada puttasya, whenever contacted by any touch of unpleasant feelings or illness or anything, paridevam bhikkhu na kare, let the bhikkhu not lament. Kuhinchi, not at all, let him not lament. Bhavancha navipajjeya, let him not wish for some other kind of a bhava, some other kind of life because he is ill or he is facing unpleasantness. Bhairave suchana sampavadheya, and let him not tremble when faced with fearful things. Let him maintain equanimity.
Anannam namadhu pananam khadiyanam athopi vathanam laddhana sannidhim kariya nacha paritasitani adbhamani.
अन्नान मत्थो पानानम. जब अन्न मिल गया जो भी and drink. So having obtained the rice and drink, khadniyam athopi vathanam, and anything to eat. Athopi vathanam is to clothes. Laddhana sanidham kaira, let him not store these things. Acha paritasya tani alobhamana, and if one does not get these things, let him not be anxious and worried. So having obtained food and solid food and clothes and drink, let him not store up these things and let him not be anxious if he does not get them.
Jhayina padalolasa virani ukakucha nappamajiya athasanisu sayanisu appasantisu
Bhikkhu Vihare. Jhaina Padalolasya. Now this word Padalolasya is very interesting. Pada means foot, Lolasya means enjoying that. It means let him not enjoy wandering. Bhikkhus have that ability and tendency. So I hope Arpan is there online or no?
Just accept.
You can listen to that. Jhaina Padalolasya. Let him be meditative and not lighter hair. Virame kukucha nappamajje. Let him be free from regret. Kucha nappamajje and not be indolence. Pramad mein na rahe. Athasannesu sayanesu. Appar saddesu bhikkhu vihare. So whether he is sitting or lying down, let him live in his quiet dwelling. So he should not move around here too much. That's the suggestion being given. So you must have seen that there was a bhikkhus there and they keep on going from one loka to others.
Nidam na bahuli karaya jagaryam bhajeya atapi tandim mayam hasam khidam methu nam vipajaye savi bhusam.
Nidam मतलब नींद न हुआ बहुली करेगा बहुत ज़्यादा सोए ना. Let him not sleep too much. Jagariyam bhajeya attapi. And when he is awake, let him be constantly mindful. Tandim, Tandranamo, Mayam, deceit, Hasam, laughter, Khidam, sport, Methunam, sex, Vipajyeha, give up, Savibhusana, adornment. So let him abandon sloth, deceit, laughter, sport, sex and adornment. Athabannam supinam lakhanam no vidahe athopi nakhatam gurutancha gabba karanam tikkicham mamako seve. He says what are the other things which he should not do. Athabannam, magic kind of things. Supinam lakhanam, नींद में जो साइंस आते हैं, साइंस ऑफ स्लीप और reinterpretation of dreams. No vidahe athopi nakhatam, and not doing anything about nakshatra, that is astrology. Virutancha gabha karanam, and not apply himself to curing infertility. Virutancha, and not listening to and interpreting the sounds of the words. These are the kind of things they might have been doing. Tikkicham mamako na seve. Tikkicham means medicine. Let him not even practice medicine. So these are the things which a bhikshu is not supposed to be doing. These are the part of Pratimokha even now for the bhikkhus.
Nindaya, napavedheya, na unmayeya, pasansito bhikkhu, lobham sa machriyen kodham, pesuni encha panudeya.
Nindaya. Nindaya na apavedheya. Usse घबराए. Let him not be tremble at blame. Na unmeya pasansito bhikkhu. प्रशंसा होने लगे तो उन्मादित ना हो जाए. He should not get puffed up when there is praise. Lobham sa machhriyam. Lobha and machhriyam is stinginess and miserliness. Kodham, krodh. Pesunayancha, slander. Panudeya. You should dispel all of them. So you should give up, drive off the greed, miserliness, anger and tendency to criticize others, slander others.
Kayam kayina tirthiya uppadam bhikkhu nakariya vicche kami cha navi. 27. 27.
Kraya Vikraya, Kraya or Vikraya, you should not engage in Natithya, you should not engage in sale and purchase of things. Upvadam, not Bhikkhu, na Kareya Kuhinchi, kisi ko bhi, nothing, nobody else, let him not blame anybody or anything. Gamen Nabi Sajjaya, going to the villages, you should not get attached to the villages. It is going for alms, let him not get attached to the villages. Lava Kamya Janam na Lappeya. And let him not speak to people in the hope of getting something. Kuch labh mil jayega. I'm speaking to people with that idea.
So I think last verse there was a question at that time. Why is the bhikkhu being asked to abandon laughter?
Yeah, because he is supposed to, when he's the rule of conduct there is that if you are pleased, you can smile. Laughter is seen to be a kind of excessive display of emotion, getting carried away by emotion, getting carried away by joy. Just as sadness is seen and depression is seen as getting carried away by suffering, unpleasantness, laughter is seen as getting carried away by joy.
So we see and hear Ajahn Samaja laughing a lot. Ajahn Samaja laughs a lot.
Yes. He doesn't, even laughter is seen in sense of, when it is uncontrolled laughter in that sense. People get carried away by that. So it is a kind of middle way line has to be drawn by everybody according to this.
Nacha Kathitas Siya Bhikkhu Nacha Vacham Payutam Nasaya Vacha Bhiyam Na Sikheya Katham Vigahikam Na Kathayaya.
Nacha Kathita Siya Bhikkhu. Bhikkhu means should not become one who boasts. Kathita, boasting. Nacha Vacham Payutam Bhaseya. He should not speak carelessly. Bhaga Bhiyam Na Sikheya. Let him not become proud, impudent, harsh speech. Katham Vigahikam Na Kathaya. Let him not speak quarrelsome language. Mosavajjena niyet sampajano sathani na kaira atha jivitena panyaya sila battena jnanam attiman. Mosavajjena means telling lies, na niyetha, he should not lead himself to falsehood. Sampajano sathani na kaira, and knowingly he should not do wrong things. Sampajano here means knowingly. He should not consciously, he should not do wicked things. Atha jivitena panyaya, and sila battena jnanam atimanne. And because he is following Shila and other rules and regulations, and he has got panya, so he should not feel looked down upon others because he's got a lot of wisdom and livelihood. His livelihood is very pure and he's observing the Shilas. Because of that also, he should not become proud. Sutva rusito bahum vacham samananam vapathu janam harusena nena pativajja nahi santo patisena karonti. Sutva is hearing rusito, harsh, bahum vacham, having samananam pathujanam, other samanas and laymen, hearing them use angry words, harusena ne pativajja, let him not retort with this harsh speech. Nahi santo patisankerati. For the good people, it is not good to answer back. You should not answer them back. So, it is, santo can be used as good or it is also be used as calmness. Shanti. For calmness also, it's not good to answer back.
लेकिन अगर जवाब नहीं देंगे, मान लो अगला इंसान गलत कुछ कर रहा हो.
Answer back means using angry words. Harusena nahi pativajja. Let him not respond with harusena vacha, it's harsh words.
Etancha धम्मन्नाय विचिनं भिक्खु सदा सतो सिक्खे संतीति निभुन्तिं नत्वा शासने गौतमस्य न पमज्जेय.
Etancha Dhamma Anyaya. Understanding this in this manner, understanding the Dhamma. Vichinam Bhikkhu Sada Sato Sikhe. Vichinam means inquiring. The Bhikkhu should Sada Sato, he should always be mindful and inquiring constantly. Santiti Nibbhutam Natva. Having known that Shanti, that is bliss, is found in a state of Nibbhutam, calm. State of calm. Sasane Gautamasya Pammanjaya. Let him not be pramadi, indolent in applying the teachings of the Buddha, Gautama.
Abhiviso Bandhidu Sakhitammaniti Pamatsi Tasmai Tasya Bhagavatu Sasane Apamatto Sada Namasamanussiketi.
Abhibhu is not based on others for his, that is, he is not based on seeing, hearing from others. So na abhibhuto. So Sakhi Dhammam Antim Addasi. So he is the person who is undefeated conqueror. Abhibhu is not having been overcome. He is the undefeated conqueror. Sakhi Dhammam Antim Addasi. Sakhi, he has seen the Dhamma on his, by himself. Aniti Ham Addasi. So he has seen it with his own eyes. He has seen the Dhamma with his own eyes. Tasmai Tasya Bhagavato Sasane. Therefore, in the order of the Bhagavan, Appamatto Sada Namassam Anusakke. Let the monk apply himself with respect to the teachings of the Buddha. So this is the end of Tuvartak Sutta. So these are the advice to the bhikkhus, and we can see quite a bit of it applies to us also. Any comments or questions?
So now we have 6 people: Deepak, Deepti, Rajan, Dikachu, Sandeep, Srinivas, Silesh, and Sudhakar. Any questions from anybody?
I will open the Paticca Sutta. So we start with Paticca Samutpada. Did we start last time? Yes. 26 or 27. We had started the other variants of Paticca Samutpada. Chetana Suttam we had studied, then Dvitiya Chetana Suttam, then Dukkha Suttam, Loka Suttam, Adana Suttam, Namarupa Suttam, contemplating gratification, Vijnana Suttam also. And we come to Athiraga Suttam, 34. This is what we have started, 34. So we are seeing various variants of the Paticca Samutpada, because we generally tend to think of it in terms of one single 12-link methodology. So in order to explain to different people, different starting points, different methodologies have been used. But the key point remains the same. The key point remains that the arising of attachment at any of the khandas or of the vijnana or of tanha, of upadan, any kind in day-to-day life will eventually lead to the operation of the cycle. And you have seen it from various dimensions. And we can see it now from the dimension of Athi Raga means there is Raga. So if there is Raga, then problems will begin, suffering will begin to arise. And here he talks about starting from food, ahara. Kavli kare che bhikkhave, asye che bhikkhave. If you remember, there are 4 kinds of ahara which the Buddha mentions. Kavli kara means the physical ahara. Then phassa means the contact, mental contact, manasi, manosanchetana, or volition which we develop, and the vijnana, the consciousness. These are the other inputs which our body-mind complex keeps on getting. So it says, ahare athi rago, athi nandi, athi tanha. If we have the attachment to them, if we take delight in these nutrition, these nutriments, and if there is craving, then what happens? Tatha vijnanam virula. Patithati tatha vijnanam. The consciousness descends there, gets established there, and it comes to growth. So if we have attachment, if we take delight in food, contact, pollution, or then there will be consciousness will get established, and once the consciousness get established, the whole cycle will start. Yatha patitham vijnanam virulam athitatha namarupam. So from vijnanam, namarupam will get established. And the same thing will start then from namarupam, sankharam will start. And then from sankharam, punna abhivandanti, then will be production of renewed existence. So you can see how the summary has been built up. It's not following the same sequence standard. But we can easily understand that yes,
sir, all of these suttas are found in the
yeah, they are in Samyutta Nikaya. There is a full section of Samyutta Nikaya called Nidana Vagga. The section which deals with causation.
Okay.
Causation is Paticca Samuppada. So there is a huge series of discourses on Paticca Samuppada, and in various ways in which we get trapped in. It's like a net in which we can get trapped from here, from there, from there. So he has tried to explain it, and he is obviously not obliged to follow the same 12 links all the time. So he's just telling us the key thing, that if the jnana gets established somewhere, Namarupa will be formed. So it could be at the end of the life, it could be during our day-to-day life. So the moment this happens, then Sankharas will arise, because Namarupa is being there will be the relationship with the world. Because through Namarupa the relationship with the world establishes. And once the relationship establishes, there will be Sankharas. And once the Sankhara is there, that is enough to give us rebirth. And he has already explained, birth is suffering, so the whole thing will happen. So yatha aitam punabhavanti, when the new birth takes place, athitata aitam jati jara maranam sam. So as soon as the birth arises, then everything else will follow, suffering will arise. So this is how the origination of suffering takes place. So if you see the notes, I have put down those translations in some barest minimum so that one can understand, because these are the same words being used in slightly different terminology. Otherwise, the process of Paticca Samutpada, you can see, is being explained in a variety of ways. Then we come to the main sutta, DN 15. It is Digha Nikaya Mahanidana Sutta. This is generally supposed to be the main sutta in which the Paticca Samutpada is explained in its entirety. And there another sutta, Mahapadana Sutta also, which is deals with the great lineage. And there the Buddha talks about series of Buddhas which were before him in different aeons. And he traces he sees through, according with his super knowledge, he's through up to 91 eons before him. And he says 91 eons before arose the Lord Buddha Vipassi, that was his name. And he says this is how he followed the path of enlightenment. And that he writes down. And says this is the path which Lord Buddha Vipassi followed. And interestingly, there is only 10 links.
Only 10 links.
It doesn't have Avidya, it doesn't have Sankhara.
It doesn't have Sankhara.
So that's a very, it has been a big challenge, but people have been able to understand that the key things are all there, and that Avidya is actually assumed to be all present throughout the whole. So there is a number of suttas in which these 10 links are expounded. As I said, DN 14 is one, then Samyukta Nikaya there is a Nagara Sutta, where the Gautama the Buddha does the contemplation similarly and stops at the 10th. And says the things don't go beyond it. So in this case, actually, there are not only are the Sankhara and Vijnana missing, Sankhara and Avidya missing, Salayatan is also missing. 6 sense bases are also not explicitly mentioned, though implicitly we know they come in. So the point I wish to make was that one should not get dogmatic about the links also. So here in this Mahanidana Sutta, which in fact is repeatedly said by so many commentators, is the most profound discourse in the whole Tipitaka.
So similar to the number of links, is there a different perceptions about what link to attack? For example, in the Goenkaji's tradition, we try to cut this whole chain through Vedana. So are there other interpretations
actually, we are not cutting through Vedana. That is the practice part.
Right, practice part.
Actually, we are cutting through Vidya.
Okay.
So everywhere that is the thing. Through Vidya. Through Vidya, you have to have a clear understanding of what's going on. So in this sutta, in all the Paticca Samutpada, he says actually, understanding Paticca Samutpada is the Dhamma.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, if we don't understand it, that is avidya. So vidya is understanding Paticca Samutpada. That all those 3 verses which we recited, they are said to have been spoken by the Buddha just prior to his enlightenment. And he says that as soon as he had penetrated into, first he says, avidya, pachaya, sankhara and all that, he comes up to the evameva tasya dukkha khandasya samudayo hoti. And he says, oh, I have seen how this suffering arises. Then there is that first verse, sahetu dhammam, and he sees the arising of the things. Then he sees the cessation of the avidyayate vashesh viraga nirodha sankhara nirodha sankhara nirodha, and then whole thing. Oh, then he says, oh, I have seen the cessation of the whole thing also. Then the other verse comes. Then having seen cessation in this, he exalts, I am become enlightened. And then that third verse comes. So his enlightenment also is seen to be a result of understanding Paticca Samutpada. That's why he always, remember many places he says, Yo Paticca Samutpadam pajanati, so dhammam pajanati. Yo Paticca Samutpadam passati, so dhammam passati. So that is the avidya primarily is not seeing this trap in which you are caught. And you see it in a variety of ways. It's obvious that you can see it in a variety of ways. Somebody can be trapped in food, somebody can be trapped in feelings. Most of us are trapped there at that point because eventually feelings trap us. Even food is trapped because of feelings. It can be trapped in the Namrupa. Eventually that also gets trapped through that. But apparently seeing things traps us. So the delusions arise because of that. So it's a very powerful way of understanding things. So this Mumbai to see me, so I just saw a message. So, as I was mentioning, why I am mentioning it is that I will not be studying it whole because it is quite a long one, but it has some of the concepts introduced are very abstruse, unlike in other suttas, like Mahasatipatthana, for example. There are some things which seem extremely difficult to figure out what is he trying to say, and it has needed some great insight from the point of scholars, and I think the greatest insight has come from a Sri Lankan Bhikkhu Jnanananda, who wrote that Concept and Reality also. So I have studied that and put down some of the points which he has made, and Bhikkhu Bodhi has also written a full commentary on this sutta, and the Great Discourse on Great Causation, this thick book, mentioning the commentaries and everything, and he also points out that Bhikkhu Ananda's comments are very appropriate.
So this is a question from Silesh. Gurus like Ramana only talk about Atma Vichara to reach enlightenment. Is it same as understanding Praticca Samutpada?
We don't know really. It's very difficult to figure out what exactly he meant by self-reflection. If you understand it in that manner, it's fine. Of course, if you reflect in a dispassionate manner, Anatta Lakhana Sutta is also Atma Vichara. He's query, self-inquiry. What is he's asking them? He's actually helping them to do self-inquiry, isn't it? Because is the body permanent? No.
Is it
if it is not permanent, is it whatever is permanent is a cause of suffering or happiness? Suffering. If whatever gives you suffering, whatever is not permanent, is it belonging to me? Is it right to think it is me? It's a method of inquiry, basically. Now, to what depth the inquiry is taken is a matter, and we can't figure out from discourses of the Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi or others. But just now we read in the sutta, Vichinno, you should investigate. Sada Sato and Vichinno. You should be always mindful investigating the Dhamma, which Dhamma means experiences. So investigation of experience is a part of Buddha's teaching. In fact, if you see the factors of enlightenment, the first factor is Sati, second is Dhamma Vichara, investigation. Then others follow. So investigation is a key thing of Buddha's teachings, and Praticca Samutpada is actually that.
It's a very interesting talk I was listening. It was in Ajahn Chah's discourse read by Ajahn Amru at CD. In that, Ajahn Chah was actually telling the monks how to do the dhyana or samadhi, and Vidaka Vichara ka jo combination tha. Very interestingly, he said that during Vidaka, when you have a recollection and then there's Vichara, if the Vichara is around Dhamma, he said let it happen. Do Dhamma Vichaya, and don't try to curb it and try to say that because I am doing Samadhi, let me stop it and go back to say your breath. He said if that is the case, let it happen, and then again there will be Vitaka, and he said that will lead to Piti, Sukha, and eventually. So he was actually telling that the Dhamma Vichaya will lead to Samadhi.
There are various separate approaches,
Right.
different kind of.
It was very interesting
routes.
that we always think of Samadhi as concentration, that leave everything else and just focus on the object of concentration.
It's not samadhi. Actually, if you study jhanas, in the first jhana, there is vitakka, there is vichara present.
Yeah, that is what he was saying.
In Buddha himself has said, no?
Yeah.
Vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekagata. They are all present. All the mental factors are present. And if you follow Abhidhamma in second sex, Abhidhamma is given 5 jhanas. In the second dhyana, vitakka is absent, but vichara is still there.
Still there.
In the third jhana, vitakka vichara are absent, which is sutta is called second jhana. So vitakka vichara are not obstructions. They are the methods by which we focus our mind. And samadhi is truly not complete absorption into the loss, because we are talking of samma samadhi, and so all these things are a part of it. So first jhana is also part of samma samadhi. So vitakka vichara is there. If your mind is going away and you are applying it, vitakka means the initial application. So mind is going away, you are bringing it back. Your mind going away, bringing it back, and then for some time your mind stays there. So this process whole itself is a beginning of the first jhana. So if you study the word, I was listening to one talk by Bhante Vimalamsi. So he points out that in Pali the word ekaggata has two different meanings. If you see ekagga actually means tranquility, and I verified. Yeah, Pali dictionary says ekagga means tranquility. So ekaggata means tranquility, calm. Ekaggata we say one-pointedness. See? So he says one-pointedness also, calm can come out of one-pointedness, but calm is the key meaning. And we tend to gain concentration and create a hell of a problem while practicing anapana. Make people go through so much pain and all, and think that he will get ekaggata. So there is a different perspectives on things which we have to see, because of different tradition. Different forest tradition has followed something, Sri Lankan tradition, Burmese tradition. So they have their own interpretations. And if we study this Mahanidana Sutta, I spent I think a very large amount of time in studying. There is a full book written by Bhikkhu Nyananda on Praticca Samutpada. I studied it whole. Here he has tried to use Mahanidana Sutta, but he used other things also in a very elaborate series of discourses he has given. And then there is another book which he has written is Magic of Mind. There are also some references are made. So whatever I could comprehend from there, I try to share it with you. It's interesting to see how Buddha Vipassana came to the conclusion of this Mahanidana Sutta. He says he started from this, that there is so much of suffering in the world. Same thing. So what is the cause of suffering? So and then he reflects, birth is the cause of suffering. So he starts from the bottom, goes up. He says, so this birth is the cause of suffering. So therefore, jati pachya jara marana. He starts from the bottom. Sokh paridev dukh domanasya upayasa sambhavanti. So dekh hi rahe charon taraf. He says, what is he just say? Investigates in deep, calm mind. He investigates what is the cause of suffering. He says, oh, birth is the cause. So the second link he is jati pachya jara marana.
In this case, is the birth the physical birth or the?
Yeah, he is talking of the physical birth. It's not clear, of course, it could be other also, but the implications are both. Because the way he stops, implication is probably birth of evil. Then, okay, why is the birth taking place? Bhava pachya jati. How is bhava happening? Upadana pachya bhava. Why is upadana happening? Tanha pachya upadana. Why is tanha happening? Vedana pachya tanha. Why is Vedana happening? Phassa pachya Vedana. Why is Phassa happening? Namarup pachya Phassa. How is Namarup happening? Vijnana pachya Namarup. This we are all familiar. Now he says, how is Vijnana happening? He says, Namarup pachya Vijnana. So he says it is a vortex. So the word is used is vitatta, which means something which is turning over. And Bhikkhu Nyananda calls it a vortex. And he says, this vortex which actually is trapping us all the time. And he actually, because she makes a statement, it does not go beyond it. Vijnana pachya namarupa, namarupa pachya vijnana. And then there is a deep understanding of that. It's called reciprocal conditionality. We already studied it. In fact, if you recall, when we are studying this Namarupa Pachya Vijnana, Vijnana Pachya Namarupam, then we realized Vijnana and Nama are Anyamanya Pachya. Nama does not arise by its own. It is always arises with it. It is Sahajata Pachya and also Anyamanya Pachya. But Rupa is not Sahajata Pachya, it is Anyamanya Pachya. Because they support each other. Nama supports Rupa, Rupa supports Nama. And Namarupa supports Vijnana, Vijnana supports Nama. So I'll try to bring it out in the next slide. That there is a, so this explanation is from Venerable Jnanananda, and which I think is mostly accepted by Bhikkhu Bodhi also. They are the two main commentators. So what is the Nama and Rupa interrelationship? Since you studied Vijnana, I had no difficulty in comprehending it very quickly. Because Nama basically means feelings, perception, intention, contact and attention. Which is, if you see it in that sense, it is 7 universal Chetsikas. They have left out life principle because we are only talking of live people. So they must have left it out. And the Ekagata is seen as a part of the attention in that sense. So they say the Nama, these are these things, and Rupa is perception of form derived from 4 great primaries. Because all form is consisting of earth, air, fire, water and its subsidiary attributes. Now, the complexity which gets introduced here is Buddha talks of 2 types of contacts in this sutta. One he calls Adhivachana Sampassa and the other is Patigha Sampassa. Adhivachana means verbal impression, Patigha means resistance. Now, what does it mean really, Adhivachana Sampassa? It means ascribing a verbal designation to an object. And how does it happen? It will happen by union between designating consciousness and designated object. So when we look at it in that manner, for example, how do we define Rupa? If you see, we define Rupa based on Nama. That's the interesting point which they bring out. How do we say Rupa? Earth element, feeling of heaviness. That feeling is going to be felt by Nama. How is defined Tejo Dhatu? Feeling of heat, coldness. Vayu Dhatu, movement. Apo Dhatu, contraction, collision. So the Rupa is defined by Nama. It doesn't have its own objective entity. Now that's a very powerful statement. So therefore the world which we see around, it doesn't have an objective entity other than what I perceive.
And I perceive from my
own
feelings,
my own Nama, my own mind. And Nama is geared to Vijnana. So Bhikkhu Nanda points out that when Buddha, you remember we had studied that Dhyana Sutta. Buddha talks of consciousness as a magician's trick. Isn't it?
This is very powerful.
Magician's trick. Yeah. It's not. There is nothing in it. So Bhikkhu Nanda uses it to full extent. He says, if you see the magician's trick, then magic is no longer there for you. Same is the situation being described here. That what is happening, the world around us, which we think as objective reality, is not objective reality. It is subjective experience which we give objective reality. Now that is one dimension of. That's what is meant by that. So whatever we are calling as form, objects, is actually not Rupa. It should be called Rupa Sanya. It is perception of Rupa. Because the world outside, we cannot know any other way other than through our 6 senses.
यहाँ पर थोड़ा सा generally subjective things are subjective because they are personal and they are unique to that person.
Yes.
But the Rupa generally will have the same sanya for everybody.
I also grappled with that question for a long time and meditated, and I can now answer that very satisfactorily. So I spent a lot of time in investigating it. Now when we say Rupa is an objective reality, it's like a consensual hallucination. How? All our people's senses have limitations of certain kind, same limitation. We all can see in certain, so science helps you a lot. We all can see in certain wavelength. We all can hear in certain frequencies. We all can smell in certain zone, not beyond that. Supposing we were able to see in the ability beyond that. For example, this we say is objective reality. People have investigated how would this be seen by a snake. Snakes have ability to see in ultraviolet region. So this color yellow, which we'll all agree is yellow, it's not yellow to them. It is violet.
And how do scientists know?
Yeah, because they have investigated the ability of seeing of the snakes. They investigated the visual ability to which they respond to visual signals in which region. So how does and then he has the ability to see in infrared region. So how does a snake catch a mouse in the darkness? Oh, he's able to sense the heat coming out and catches hold of him and eats him. Then this is about the sight. So different birds have different abilities of seeing in different regions. So the world will appear to them to be totally different. Similarly, hearing. We know all about bats, isn't it? They navigate based ultrasonics. We can't see that. We can't hear it at all. So any sound which is arising in the world has a whole range of frequencies. We pick up only small element. Any sight which is arising has a whole spectrum of emissions with different intensity. We pick up only a smaller. Now all of us pick up the same thing, and therefore we say, oh, this is objective reality. So that is what is pointed out, that जो traditionally कहा जाता है जो है वो ऐसा नहीं है, the saint sees world in a different manner, it is objectively true. Now if you take it one level ahead, when we see our own meditation, deep meditation, we see the body solid, we see it as a flow, complete flow, no solidity at all, we actually experience it. So what is the objective reality, that or this? It all depends on what is the state of measuring apparatus. What is the state of the measuring apparatus? And then you look at it from the point of view of a person who has psychic powers, like Deepa Ma's case. She just walked through the wall. Now what is the wall for her? Just a bundle of vibration, that's all. We hear about Mahamangalana. Indra has made a huge palace. वो कहता है देखो कितना अच्छा पैलेस है, कहता अच्छा देखते हैं. He puts his toe onto this, contemplates on earth element, transforms it into air element, and the whole thing is fluttering like this. क्या हो गया? So you can see the perception is governed by our abilities, sensory abilities, our six sense abilities. If you develop six sense abilities beyond the normal range, the whole world will appear different. So what we are seeing is Rupa, we say. It is actually Rupa Sanya, perception of the Rupa,
so here,
as obtained by our sense apparatus.
With this argument, so we can at least wrap our head around how do we perceive the world, but the world will behave the same. For example, the wall will remain the wall.
For most of us.
Right? No.
Not
What I'm saying is we can perceive that. For example, depending on our moods, also we see things differently. Those things are.
Those are subjectively understood.
Understood.
But he is making a stronger statement than that.
But the wall will remain a wall.
Yeah, for most of us. That's why I said.
Because the perception is very subjective, but the wall is not subjective to.
That is what is being said.
No, its solidity is not subjective to my perception.
Yeah, it's because I am not able to operate at that frequency level. Science tells you, we don't believe them. Science tells you it is not solid. It is solid because movement of atoms and these electrons is so fast that you can't put your hand into it. If this fan moves too fast, you can't put your hand through it. If it is slow, I can just put my hand and take it out. Isn't it? If it moves too fast, I just harm, because if the moment I do it, I'll hit. Because my perception is colored by that. So if my hand is also vibrating at similar frequency, just pass through that, no problem.
लेकिन मन की गति तो बड़ी तीव्र होती है ना, जितनी मतलब जैसे जैसे आप फास्ट कह रहे हैं वैसे ही मन की गति होती है एकदम एक साथ।
हम लोग
लेकिन
इंद्रियों की एबिलिटी नहीं है ना हमारी, इंद्रियों की जो एबिलिटी है,
मन तो इंद्रिय है ना।
हाँ नहीं, बट हम इस दीवार को थ्रू तो नहीं जा पाते ना, इस दीवार के थ्रू चले जाएं
अगर इंद्रियों की गति इतनी तीव्र तो जा सकते हैं।
वो जो अभिनय डेवलप करते हैं ना, जैसे जो कंसंट्रेशन इतना ज़्यादा कर ले, पावर डेवलप कर लेते हैं, जिससे कि अभिनय डेवलप होती हैं, those new psychic powers are developed, as a result of which they can see, using the word see in quotes, the world in a different manner. They perceive it as a combination of elements, and they are also combination of elements, and by raising their level of awareness they can pass through it, because they are no longer seeing solidity in anything. They are not seeing solidity in here, solidity there. They don't see solidity here, so they contemplate on air element, the whole body becomes like air element. So when we eat food, the molecules change. We take foods which are very wind producing, the whole body becomes full of wind. We take hot tea, the whole body becomes hot. So they do it by meditation. Raise the level so that it becomes fully air. If it is fully air, it will just go through that.
तो जब हम स्थिति में पहुंचेंगे तो अपने
वो उसकी बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, ये तो वो कह रहे हैं कि इसलिए जो हम देख रहे हैं वो ऐसा नहीं है। ये बहुत बहुत पावरफुल बात कर रहे हैं। इज टॉकिंग ऑफ ऑब्जेक्टिव रियलिटी इज एसेंशियली ए परसेप्शन, रूप संज्ञा। Let's take the other one also, maybe that will help. What is Patigya Sadphassa? He says the nama is also cannot be recognized unless there is form.
It's the other way around.
Both ways are there. So just as form is recognized by nama, nama is recognized because form creates resistance to the nama in various ways. So you know about the intention, because there is something with which you can associate. You know about your feelings, because there are things to which resistance occurs. Something gives you a resistance of heat, something gives you a resistance of light. If there was no object in the world, there will be no feeling.
So what about mental thoughts? They are not dependent or originating from a rupa kind of thing.
Yeah.
Feelings, I can associate that, but thoughts.
Feeling, perception, intention, contact, attention, all of them. If there is no rupa, there is no perception of what perception will you have about what. What intention will you have about what? There is nothing, no intention. So what he's pointing out is that it is because of the resistance offered by he uses the term patigga, kind of, which is roughly translated as resistance. So we are able to recognize, he's trying to explain to us the interrelationship of nama rupa to such an extent.
So while we were discussing, there were some comments on the thing that we were discussing, which was like, Sudhakar was saying same room temperature is felt by each person differently. If
Yes.
there is only one objective reality, then everybody should feel the same, right?
Yes.
And I think Silesh was stressing the fact
Unfortunately,
that
what happens when you put a thermometer, reading comes the constant.
that is what
That is the issue.
issue.
And that is because we have all agreed to be collectively deluded and believe that the thermometer is giving the correct reading.
And that was the next statement from Silesh is what sir says, collective hallucination is the keyword, Rajesh.
We have all collectively agreed कि ये ऐसा है, so उससे ज़्यादा नहीं बात करनी है.
And so Sudhakar again says,
In fact, these are the words which is interpreted by Bhikkhu Nyanananda.
which words, sir?
Collective hallucination.
Okay.
Our feeling of the world as unified and objective reality is a kind of collective hallucination in which we are living, and it is useful because otherwise there will be
We will be the only one hallucinating.
otherwise conventional world will go
Yeah, exactly. So much of chaos.
Sudhakar says, sir, if all of you contemplate on cold, then there is no need for the fan to cool. Because fan is making noise here. Na?
So this discussion I have summarized briefly in the next slide. You can see 37.
So ये नहीं समझ में आया कि when consciousness encounters the resistance.
Yeah, I put down again
Okay.
in the next slide.
Okay.
So these are the words which make it less complicated.
Mm-hmm.
If there were no characteristic proper to nama, that is, there was no intention, no attention, no feeling, then no verbal impression about rupa is possible. You cannot designate rupa at all. You cannot understand what rupa is if all these factors are not present. Then if there is no characteristic proper to form characteristic means what we normally term as its characteristics, there would not be any resistance impression on the nama, because nama will not be able to figure out what is feeling. If there is no heat, there is no heat. There is no object which offers feeling. There is no object to which attention can be focused. There is no object about which any intention can be made. So then he says, if the characteristic of both nama and rupa groups are absent, there would be neither verbal impression nor resistance impression. And if there were no nama rupa, therefore there would be no fuss.
So I can at least relate that rupa with one aspect of nama, which is, say, vedana or feelings, because rupa, either earth feeling, heat feeling, air feeling, and fire feeling, they all relate to feelings. So as far as the
attention, for example, attention, to what will you give attention?
So that's what I'm saying. That doesn't look like needs a rupa.
Yeah. To what will you give attention?
But because mental thoughts have no corresponding feelings have. Feelings are associated with rupa, but thoughts doesn't seem like associated with rupa.
No, the issue is of nama rupa within that domain. We are taking up that. And we have already studied nama arises along with vijnana. So that part is quite obvious. That only when vijnana will arise, then all the attributes, so the soldier will follow the general and so on, whatever example is given. So that much is obvious, that consciousness, along with that, certain characteristics arise which are universal. Then there may be other characteristics. Now, the contemplation is being done about rupa. Okay. It's not being done about other psychic factors, other mental factors. Mental factors are all going to arise with vijnana, not with nama. Nama is not going to arise other mental, anger or fear or things or distraction or mindfulness or absence of mindfulness. Nothing. Lobha, dosha, they are all going to arise as adjuncts of vijnana. So that part is taken care of by the king. Vijnana is the king, and they are all the subjects of the king. Now the rupa is seen as a key issue, because rupa is what gives a foothold to the nama. If there is no rupa, there will be no fun. So that's explained, I think, in the next one. The process of embryo arising and all. In fact, one paper I read it for some time and gave it up. He says, actually, Praticca Samutpada is a science of embryo. एक पेपर रिसर्च पेपर देखा जर्नल. It's actually a embryonic science. Unnecessarily people are trying to find out spiritual dimensions.
Unnecessary, sir.
Some word is used. It is actually basically that. How the embryo forms and how it is becomes stable, and how the embryo develops into nama, 6 senses, and how 6 senses come into contact with the world. So let's see the next slide, and I think that will make it.
So just while we are discussing, I just wanted to bring Suresh's question. If there are no thoughts, there is no mind, and no rupa or no rupa shouldn't matter, right? Am I missing something?
Say it again.
So actually he wrote it first and then he corrected it. He wrote it like, if there are no thoughts, there is no mind, and so no nam or no nam shouldn't matter.
That's not correct. No? Mind can be without thoughts.
So, and he says rupa in the above statement. Maybe Suresh, can you just rewrite it again?
We all know in our meditation, there are situations when there is no thought. calm, quiet, just observing. It's only consciousness. It all falls within our all senior meditators. Mind is just sitting aware. That's all. Nothing. No aversion, no craving, nothing is arising. Just awareness is there. Awareness of something, awareness of sound, or awareness of bodily feelings, or whatever. So there's no thought at all. It's just awareness. There's awareness is of always of some rupa.
Awareness किस चीज की होगी? Awareness तो होती
Rupa
है
की awareness है ना? Awareness of rupa. What is happening at the body? What is happening at this ear? They're all rupa, na? Smells, sound, sight. They're all rupa. Form.
thoughts की नहीं होती है.
Thoughts की भी awareness is. But we are talking about the rupa dimension. No? But he was saying that unless there is thought, there is no mind. That's not correct.
No, mind is always there.
Mind is because mind एक omnibus term हो गई है ना, उसके different meaning है अलग अलग जगह पे. So we use these, therefore Pali words are better to use so that there is no confusion. So chitta or jnana is self-same. Thoughts are usually of the kind of reactions, sankharas of various kind. Thoughts will be of lobha, of craving, or aversion, or alobha, or generosity, or things of that.
इनके बिना भी कोई thoughts होंगे.
Kuch thoughts will always be associated with mental factor of some kind or the other. Otherwise, what is the thought? It's not possible.
So what is the closest Pali word for thought? Is it Chechika?
Manyati. That is the word which is thinks. Manyati means manta hai. Hindi mein realize transfer. He thinks.
And what is just Abhidhamma? What is the closest in Abhidhamma?
There is no word for thought as such.
So why is it?
Yeah, because thought is always imbued with some mental factor.
But thought is so.
Yeah, because he is trying to point out the ultimate realities, not the convention. The Abhidhamma is talking about ultimate realities. So thought can be about craving or aversion. What else? Or generosity, or kindness, or rigidity, or flexibility. So all those 50 factors, you can't find more than that. Maybe there are a few more you can add. That's not, possibility is there. The fear is not given there as a thought of fear external. Fear is seen as a part of aversion. So you can add those small things, but basically the key element is being recognized. Thought में तो एक वो हो जाता है ना, say omnibus term. Everything is a thought. You are thinking about buying something for you. You are thinking about hurting somebody.
There's a difference between thought and feelings. For example,
Feelings are different.
Right.
That's why Vedana is kept separate. No?
Right.
Vedana is a separate mental
Thought
factor.
has a lot related to. We can say thought is a symbolic thought. We generally think in language, symbolic language.
It's interesting to see thought like Sankhara. That's why in Sankharas, Vedana and Sanya is not kept out. So we take 50 Sankharas. 52 mental factors, Vedana, Sanya are kept out. And Sankhara is this. Because they have a different role altogether. Vedana,
Yes.
Sanya have different role, and Sankharas are rest 50. And you can see all those 50 are things like that. Wholesome, unwholesome, neutral, things like that. So that has been, because of their clarity of...
So Sudhakar is saying a memory arising in terms of Abhidhamma explanation is what?
it depends, no? It could be, memory would be what? It would be of some thought of past, and that would be either of craving, or of aversion, or of sadness, or of remorse, usually remorse of some kind, or of exaltation of having achieved something. So it will always have some flavor. It will be of confusion. They are all mental factors. Doubt, they are mental factor. So all those 50 mental factors other than Sanya and Vedana, which are ethically neutral, They're all having some flavor or the other. So thought will always have a flavor of some kind.
So does that answer?
So let's go to the next slide then.
38.
Yeah, 38. So, summarized it here, the whole discussion in briefly. There is reciprocal conditionality of Vijnana and Namarupa. If Vijnana were not to descend in mother's womb, this is actually the wordings in the sutta. Because this is also given to Ananda, Mahanidana Sutta. And interestingly, this is also given at Kammasadhamma.
Achha.
So that's why they say most profound discourses have been given in Kammasadhamma, Kuru Pradesh.
No.
So this discourse is also, and it is Ananda as usual asking a question, and then the whole discourse starts. He says, I have understood Paticca Samutpada so well, so clear. He says, no, don't say so, don't say so. And then he explains it. So that's what he asked this question. If Vijnana were not to descend in mother's womb, would Namrupa take shape? Then on the other hand, if Vijnana were not to gain footing in Namrupa, would birth arise? So obviously both of them are simultaneously required. And that's why he says Namarupa Pachya Vijnana, Vijnana Pachya Namarupa.
So what does it mean by if Vijnana were not to descend in mother's womb?
Because the word used, avitikante. The basic idea is if you remember, we had studied in Mahatana Sankhya Sutta also this question, that the conception will not take place unless there is the being to be born is also available. It's not just union of mother and father, it's being to be born should be available. Which means the appropriate consciousness, the person should have died. Who's going to be born? So if that person would die, then the consciousness has to descend in. You use that word, descend in the womb, so as to take. It's not that somewhere from heaven. It's the person people who are dying, the consciousness finds a place. Consciousness finds a place. So that.
Do you mean to say that there are so many deaths happening and there are so many births happening?
Yeah.
So wherein there is conception is not happening, that means there is nothing available.
Yeah. Time is not right.
Time is not right.
Otherwise, there is no reason that the union should not produce. So the Bhikkhu Puri mentions about it that Vijnana, and it's a very important point, I think. Vijnana requires Namrupa not only at conception but all throughout life. If you see the notes I have written there, vital functioning body with its brain, nervous system and sense faculties is necessary for the Vijnana to operate. It also depends on mental body, as there can be no cognition of an object without the more specialized function performed by Phassa, Vedana, Sanya, Chetna and Manasikara. Thus Vijnana stands upon the whole complex of Namarupa, subject to later fluctuations. So in Sariputta uses this, in the Nava discourses also mentions it, and either one bhikkhu, I think Kochanna or somebody, he says, kya tum keh rahe ho? He's dependent on this and this is dependent on this. What does it mean? He says it is like two sheaves of reeds trusting on each other. If one falls, the other will also fall. If one is there, then only other will be supported. So this is the way you should understand Namarupa and Vijnana. So the implications of it, as I have hinted, are quite deep, and I'll try to put them in the 39th slide. Namrupa is merely a reflection of Vijnana. Nama is in fact Sahajata Patsya, that we know already. Middle way between eternalism and annihilationism. That is, it is trying to strike a middle way between those two philosophies of eternal existence of a soul or complete destruction of the body at the time of death. Why is it so? I'll try to put it down in the words of Bhikkhu Bodhi. Dependent nature of consciousness makes eternalism impossible. Depending on Namrupa means that when body is dead, Vijnana ceases. But dependence of Namrupa on Vijnana implies that with every consciousness, Namrupa arises. And Vijnana is the primary factor that sets the new life going. And consciousness is driven from one existence to another by kamma, due to ignorance. So that's how those are operating in the background. Now, there is a comment made by Bhikkhu Bodhi about this, how the labels of Rupa change with Nama. It's interesting, so I have written it down. Difference in feeling decides whether a person is called a friend or a foe. Difference in perception decides whether a fruit is called ripe or unripe. Difference in volition decides whether a plank of wood is seen as a future door or a future table. Difference in attention decides whether a distant object is designated as moving or stationary. So it's trying to point out how the subjectivity of our sanya is there and we overlook it usually. So what is the implication of that? Neither the material world nor the mental world has any independent objective existence. So the Bhikkhu Nananda says this is what is meant by Manomaya. In Dhammapada he says, Manopabangama Dhamma Mano Setha Manomaya. Manomaya means made by mind. The whole world is made by mind.
So is Manomaya related to Maya?
Well, it depends. I don't know. It could be interpreted in that manner.
मनोमय का हमारे जो विकार होंगे वो माया से रिलेटेड होंगे तो मन मनोमय वैसे मन की स्थिति हो जाएगी।
जैसे मन की स्थिति उसी हिसाब से हम चीज़ों को देखते हैं ना। मन अगर बेचैन है तो वही चीज़ जो हमको बहुत अच्छी लगती है खाने की मन नहीं करेगा खाने का, क्योंकि अच्छी नहीं लगे, समय नहीं लगे। उस चीज़ की ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वालिटी तो कोई महत्व नहीं रखा है उसने। So when I try to put it together, what we perceive by our senses is not the actual object over there, but its reflection in our consciousness. And we keep on chasing that. I will try to, as a reminder I have acted, Fena Sutta says consciousness is like a magician's trick. And we'll stop here. This further deeper study, we'll do it in the next time. Because of its importance, I think we should reflect on it and then maybe questions arise, we can discuss. Any immediate question is there? We can take that.
बनाना मुझे देश में चल
There is typing something.
बना पेश चाय बना या रोगन ठीक
तुती बनाओ तुती
सुनो मैं तुम्हें चाय
सच है।
So the other thing is asked a question to you via email. If you want to answer in an email or
which question I don't know.
doesn't look like
Which question? I have already answered that long back you're asking. You're asking of that long back question?
getting. So while you just type the question, I have one question, sir, on the book that you wrote and sent up to the review. So I'm not did not get a chance to go through the whole, but I have one question on the first chapter, which was Buddha as a parent.
The one is usual queries which we have.
Query. So there is a so Buddha left his family for doing the in search of end of suffering, but in the modern context, most of the recommendations, for example, if somebody wants to become a monk, is that you take care of your family.
Yeah, because he made a rule. He made a rule.
But he
So not-
but
but was not
he
applicable to
made a
him.
rule afterwards.
Yes, not for him. That's
Not for him.
Because if he had not done it, there was nothing would have happened. So a bodhisattva has a different exceptions are there. For a bodhisattva, exceptions are there. And when did he make that rule? Do you know?
Yeah.
When his son insisted, give me my inheritance, and he told Sariputta, okay, give him the ball. And his father then protested.
Without asking.
And then we have only one person left who will take care of our kingdom, and you have taken him also. And then he made the rule, okay, yes, we should not.
If we look at its deeper implications, may not apply to just becoming a monk. For example, you always have the question of should I spend this time or taking care of the family, or should I kind of go against the grain and try to move towards structured dhamma or structured practice. So for example, very simple questions like should I go to a camp or not when there is so much need in the house. So those
Those are dilemmas which need to be balanced. Certainly. The wisdom lies in trying to see what exactly is the situation. There can't be a kind of universal answer to it. It depends on the situation in the family and whether the people are available who can take care of now. If they are not able to take care of them. You see the case of Arpan very clearly.
yeah.
His parents are not ill, but they are very old. And I had told him that it's not proper. In fact, the monks there also told him.
So that is much bigger thing, which is fair. That is like saying that until you, because that is like leaving the family. That is a huge commitment, and then you can't come back also. So
No, it's not like that.
Who will take
For
care
parents, it is allowed to.
Okay.
If parents fall ill, monks are allowed to go and they take care of it very much. They are in fact expected to do it. They are expected to do it. They will be sent to do it. Ajahn Sumedho went when his mother was ill. He spent, I think, months there.
Yeah. Even I remember
Everywhere.
that the
Even Ajahn Amaro also mentions going back to his parents to meet them. But they are encouraged to go and meet their parents. Inquire about their welfare. But if the parents are not willing,
then how do we create a framework to think about? Because
going for a
the
camp,
first
for example.
the first chapter dealt with that.
Yeah.
And then going for a camp, this was an example, but there could be other instances also.
Yeah.
So you always have this dilemma of should I say that because this is the right thing for Dhamma to do, let there be some resistance at home.
The issue is not of resistance. The issue is of metta, kindness, compassion. Isn't it? The issue is of householders' duties. As I said it, Mangal Sutta, you should take care of your family.
So
And if by my going away, my family falls apart,
falls apart. Yeah.
Obviously, it will not be proper. Then one has to work out a mechanism. For a short term, I want to go, we can work out a mechanism so that it is done with the consent of the family. So even in going for a camp, I would say consent is absolutely essential. Otherwise, you will be वहाँ जाके परेशान होते रहोगे.
Otherwise, बहुत selfish हो जाता है.
And not only that, you will not be able to meditate. That's the law of nature, It's the law of nature. You meditate and thought will come, पता नहीं कुछ हो गया होगा, ये हो गया, वो हो गया. I have become so self-centered. And साधना ऐसी थोड़ी ना होती है, जरूरी है कि वहीं भी करनी है. वो साधना ज़्यादा मुश्किल है, उससे छोड़ के मैं यहाँ आकर आराम से शांति से बैठ रहा हूँ. अक्सर साधना इज देयर इन द फायर पॉट. जब आग लगी हुई तब साधना है ना. उसको छोड़ के हम शांति से जाके एक सेंटर में बैठ के आराम से, ना खाने की चिंता है, ना बैठने की चिंता है, ना सोने की चिंता है, आराम
शायद इसीलिए अट्रैक्ट करता है वो.
We never know. Beyond a certain time point, it may be that. In the initial phase में तो ऐसी तैसी होती है, तो कोई अट्रैक्ट नहीं करेगा. But when you cross over a certain threshold, then you see that आराम से बैठेंगे ना साधना करते हैं. Then you could find a hidden motivation of a different kind altogether. ये चीज़ें रोज की चीज़ें हो रही है. I've seen known about so many old people doing that. पत्नी से बहुत झगड़े होते रहते हैं यार.
वो आराम से.
Especially when you are only two people living together in old age. This kind of things happen and इनसे वहीं आराम से रहते हैं. It all is a subjective self-introspection has to be done to find out.
Okay, I think we were waiting for Sudhakar. Sudhakar, I think sir was saying that he doesn't remember a recent question from you.
You had sent me a question long back, which I replied long back. I think after a few.
He said I'll send the email again. Okay, any other questions from anybody? Deepak Rai said thanks. I had tea early today.